illogical. Don't think. Thinking is the enemy of creativity. It's self-conscious, and anything self-conscious is lousy. You can't try to do things. You must simply do things. In the personality type community, we often associate or equate being logical with having high introverted thinking. As a result, types like ENFPs and ESFPs, who have TI as their so-called blind spot, are cast as being illogical. That is inaccurate. Firstly, it's impossible to function on a day-to-day basis without logic. Everyone has it and everyone uses it. Secondly, there are different kinds of logic. An ENFP's third slot function, extroverted thinking, is a very logical function. You can think of it as applied logic or logic in practice, in service of actually getting things done. ENFPs have a dominant intuitive function as well as a highly valued thinking function, and they work in tandem very powerfully. Whereas TI is concerned with breaking things down, picking them apart and analyzing, TE is more organizationally minded, excellent at structuring and solving problems. Both types of thinking functions are problem solving, but typically TE is employed when carrying out a task, whereas TI doesn't have to be used that way. TE is characterized by wanting to find the most efficient and effective path to completion. Both TI and TE want logical accuracy, but TE requires far less precision, preferring pragmatism instead. So ENFPs are logical when it comes to being effective, efficient, organizational, and pragmatic when they want to be. When you think of NE and TE in combination, you have a very ideational function that is generating new possibilities, new ideas, trying off-the-wall things sometimes, and TE is trying to bring some kind of structure or systemization. That is a very powerful loop. It's a cycle of have an idea, try it. Have another idea, and try that. If you imagine some kind of tube with a ball in it, the ball is trying to get from one end to the other. One approach would be to avoid as much friction as possible and in a very linear way move forward, like the path of least resistance. That is what TI can be like, as well as other functions. Perhaps spending lots of time analyzing things, making sure the next step or movement along the path doesn't encounter any obstacles. The NE and TE approach, so the ENFP approach, would be to bounce and ricochet off the walls until eventually getting to the destination. Sometimes there might be lots of bounces and they'll take ages. Other times they can get lucky. They hit the walls at the right angle or throw the right thing at the wall and it sticks. I'm mixing together metaphors here, but you get the idea. Either way, there's method in the madness, or maybe madness in their method. Hyperactive, ADHD, and chaotic. No good fish goes anywhere without a purpose. I can definitely see why there might be a connection between the function of NE and ADHD or being hyperactive. Now, that's a very interesting thing to explore, but for every neurotic or zany seeming ENFP, you're going to have an ENFP who is calm, quiet, measured, thoughtful, and very introspective. To be honest, ENFPs can often be an unusual mix of all of those traits over the course of an hour. All of the EP types can be characterized as chaos monkeys, but that's often in the eyes of other people who by definition are going to be of other personality types. That imbalance between their NE and their SI prioritizes the new over the familiar. Experiencing something divergent is preferable over going deeper with the known. I think that the misconception or stereotype comes in when people take this to mean that ENFPs are not capable of being organized or committed to something. That isn't the case. It's simply that their preferences lie in possibilities and potential over actualities and implementation. Also, when something aligns with their values and beliefs, once it's been accepted as part of them, they can be as diligent, consistent, and unmoving as any type. In fact, when they decide to dig their heels in on something, they are like a brick wall, one that you aren't getting through. Also, as they go through life and develop and mature, they'll start to be less imbalanced between their NE and SI. So those problems will be less pronounced. Social extroverts. People are wonderful. I love individuals. I hate groups of people. I hate a group of people with a common purpose, because pretty soon they'll have little hats and armbands and fight songs and a list of people they're going to visit at 3 a.m. So I dislike and despise groups of people, but I love individuals. Every person you look at, you can see the universe in their eyes if you're really looking. This one is hardly a stereotype at this point, since ENFPs will often report feeling like the most introverted extroverts, but many ENFPs are a far cry from the social butterflies that they are described as being. In fact, they can be very similar to INFPs ENFPs in that regard, it can be difficult to tell them apart often. A big part of the reason they're seen this way is because they have a natural affinity for performing for others. They have plenty of charm and charisma. ENFPs are a type that can interact with and bring the best out of nearly any person, especially those people who are seen as weird, offbeat, and outcasts. But when it comes to dealing with people in a group, in a collective, or dare I say at a societal level, that is something that is not straightforward for them at all. If you're an ENFP and this video stimulated you to go on 1,000 tangents mentally, then make sure to check that little SI detail of the subscribe button and click it. Also, if you want to find a Discord server full of introverts, consider checking out the link to the Love Who Discord server down below in the description. If you see me on there, feel free to say hi.